Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. Fresh Gear Friday. BetaFPV just launched. Actually, I think it went up yesterday, but the Air65, super lightweight 1S tiny whoop, and this is the product that I've not mentioned many times. When I've said like, oh yeah, I've been testing the lightweight whoop that's changed my mind. Another lightweight whoop that's changed my mind. This is what it's been. Past couple of months, I've been flying this thing. Well, earlier prototype versions of it, and this is the final version that BetaFPV very kindly sent over. I've provided them a whole bunch of feedback, which, come on, there we go. And yeah. What is happening? What I just quit something. Oh boy. I quit a program I didn't want to quit. And so yeah, I did not. I've got probably 100 batteries through the two prototypes. They've got two versions of it, the race and the freestyle. The only difference is the KV of the motors. And in my opinion, they have it backwards a little bit. The freestyle is on 23,000 kV motors. The race is on 27,000 kV motors. In my opinion, that should be the other way around. The racing folks, they need to manage runtime. And so, yeah, the race guys typically run lower. I mean, although it depends. Sometimes in qualifying, they'll run crazy kV motors. So yeah, but for me, I would for the freestyle one, I would want 27,000 kV, and for racing, I would want 23,000 kV. But hey, what do I know? I mean, it does. Outside of like an experienced pilot thinking through that, right? Like most people would be like, yeah, freestyle for the tiny whoop is just cruising around, and then racing you want to go fast. But like, you know, the meta within FPV tells us sort of otherwise. But doesn't matter what the name is. Another super lightweight tiny whoop is a really good thing. Look at all these batteries, yo. This is what I flew at the This is what I flew at the RC Drift Car place last night before the gig that you just saw me flying. I actually went straight from one to the other. And I ran most of these batteries on the walk snail Batwing camera mount rigs. And I brought them all in. So all of these batteries I ran for about a minute and 40 to 2 minutes, usually around the minute and 50 mark. And so, actually, no, I'm sorry. Wait, no, yeah, it was. That was about right. And so, some questions came up last stream about how low you should discharge your batteries. If you want your batteries to last as long as possible, this is where you want them to be when they're not charged. You can certainly run your batteries down lower and then have them recover to 3.5, 3.6, and then put them on the charger on storage mode and bring them up to 3.8. For me, I just bring the batteries home a little bit earlier so that they bounce right up to 3.78 ish, 3.8 ish. And so, just to give you guys an example of that, let's see how many of these 373. 378. So on a walk snail rig, on a walk snail 1S Tiny Whoop, if you come home at basically when I'm hovering to come in and land, it's at 3.5 volts, and then when I dig into the throttle to start flying around, it sags down to like 3.4, 3.3. And so, yeah, if you want to not have to storage charge your batteries, that's what you can do on a walk snail build. On an analog build, you can run it down lower because it's not pulling so hard on the battery. So it's, sorry, you can't, I don't know why I just said that. On an analog build, it's not going to, there you go. It's not going to pull the electrical system on the drone is not pulling so hard on the battery. And so you would want to land it at like 3.6 in order for it to bounce back up to 3.8. So yeah, the walk snail rigs, like the walk snail VTX, I know, like, when you look at the amp draw, it's very low, but it's just a little tiny 1S battery, and so yeah, it really does pull pretty hard, significantly harder than an analog rig on the batteries. So yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of inside baseball for you. I've got to get. I have a bunch more batteries that we're gonna fly tonight. These are all 300s, but I do want to charge up a couple of the 260 mAh batteries. I'm gonna charge up 3 of the 260 mAh batteries because with these really lightweight rigs and motors that are under 30,000 kV, these lightweight batteries seem to be really good. I was really impressed with them on the ultralight Mobula 6 2024. Speaking of, this is really what we're going to be comparing this Air65 to. This is the version 1 Mobula 6 2024 with the direct soldered motors and 28,000 kV motors. Direct soldered 28,000 kV 0702s. The BetaFPV rig 0702s 20. What did I say? 28,000. The 2 motor options. Where does it say on the website? Come on. 23,000 and 27,000. So 27,000, a little bit down. These are ball bearing motors though. So there's a chance that you'll get a little bit more power for free. Probably not. I've not had that experience with ball bearing motors. They seem to be about the same. in terms of runtime. So yeah, these are really the hot competitors. These are the two current best bind and fly tiny whoops, the newest generations of ultra lightweight, but still I wouldn't say big power, but plenty of power for the weight of the rig. So yeah, we're gonna compare these a bunch. We'll fly them head to head, and I'll give you guys the setup. We'll look at the tuning. Yeah, we'll do all the things. How's that sound? In the chat, Troy Prelog was first. Notice was next. Northern Tier, Perseed, FPV, Crom, Juju, Douglas Otwell, Striker, County FPV, Smoking Dog, Cujo, Rabid Rabbit. Notice again, Juju again, Kilo Zebra, John, Dave S, Half Fast, Walter, Off Axis, Dave S, Northern Tier, Ram Donko, Rain Squad, Safe Zone. What's up, everybody? Yo, Ian, Mads Tech has a set of Goggles X completely torn apart right now over on his channel. It looks like quite the mess. Last I saw, he determined that the OLED shit the bed. One of the OLEDs died. But yeah, if you want to see a fully pulled apart set of Cadex Walksnail Goggles X, head on over to Mads Tech's channel. Tell him that Ciotti said hi. I've got a set of props over here for absolutely no reason. Get out of here. All right, there we go. Now I have a spot for my phone. If you want to talk to me in the chat, all you got to do is type CiottiFPV over there. If you do that, it'll light up on orange. You can do that with each other. If you want to get Smokin' Dog Cujo's attention, type Smokin' Dog space Cujo. You got to get the spaces right. And for him and him alone, his name will light up on orange. My website is CiottiFPV.com. You can head over there and click all the buttons to support your buddy. Patreon helps me out the most, and you get the biggest benefit from it. Etsy's got some fun stuff. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. Teespring, you can get some fun shirts. PayPal, if you want to do a super chat and just donate directly, but you don't want YouTube to take 30%. And now look at all these beautiful affiliate links, my friends. If you're ordering something on the internet, someone has an affiliate link to that website. If you don't use it, you're causing that person great grief in their underneath. I've got affiliate links to all these websites. There's no reason to not use an affiliate link every single time you order. It's free money for content creators that make stuff for you to watch for free here on YouTube. Affiliate links, Amazon, GetFPV, Pyrodrone. Yes, Pyrodrone. That's a brand new one. Race Day Quads, that one's relatively new. Newbie Drone, We Bleed FPV, FPV Cycle, Oh My God, Brain 3D, HDZero, Flywoo, Emax, Banggood, Camera Butter, and the AliExpress one's broken. AliExpress has changed their affiliate program. I need to remove this. But yeah, there you go. That's how you support me so I can continue to do this full time. Here's the product page. I'm going to drop this into the chat over here. I don't think BetaFPV has an affiliate program. None that I know of, at least. Yeah, but there's the link to it with all of the specs and whatnot. Calls out right here the different KVs. 23,000 KV for the freestyle, 27,000 KV for the racing. Let me get caught up on chat, and then we're gonna jump right into it. 17.1 grams. Good lord. We'll put it on the scale and whatnot. We'll do all the things. Striker says, "What's up?" Smoking Dog Cujo says, "Hey, do you know CiottiFPV?" Juju says, "I don't know if you remember, but I was talking about getting a whole Walksnail ready to fly kit for a good deal, 700. I ended up getting them down to 600 for a 6S freestyle ready to fly kit. Very cool. Used gear is where it's at." Half Fast says, "Racing is not about going fast. It's about pilot skill." It is indeed. And with Tiny Whoop racing, it's about battery management, which is why, yeah, I would think the racers would want the lower KV. 23,000 KV, though, might be too low. We're going to talk about the 23,000 and 27,000 KV motors. I have some theories on them in terms of the efficiency and the runtime, and we're going to compare these guys in that respect. And continue the discussion that we've been having over the last 2 or 3 weeks about the thickness of the copper wire used in the windings on the stator and how big of an effect that has. Northern Tier says, did that Air65 have a receiver with it? No, it did not. It's just the tiny whoop. Ramdango says, good evening, good health, and good mental... Jesus. Jesus! And mental wealth. Good Lord. Striker says, terrible time to have bought a Meteor 65 Pro. Still waiting on their replacement motors from China. John says, there is an affiliate program for BetaFPV. Because Nick Burns has an affiliate link I used today. Really? Oh, let's see. BetaFPV affiliate program. See if it's like a link on the road. Wow, it is. Yep. All I had to do was Google it. Holy shit. All right. Well, if you want to get one of these, I'll have an affiliate link at some point. Yeah, submit a ticket. Okay. Cool. I'll have a BetaFPV affiliate link sooner than later. This will probably be up on GetFPV, Race Day Quads, Newbie Drone, within a couple of days, if it's not already. Let's search for it. Hold on. BetaFPV Air65. So okay, now it doesn't. Well, Google may not have indexed them yet, so it might be up on. Pyrodrone is usually one of the first to get stuff up. Let's take a quick look there. New products. Look at that. Laser etched water bottles. That's pretty cool. All right, now it doesn't look like it's up here yet. Let's try one more. Race Day Quads is usually pretty quick, although their shipping apparently has been slow lately. But just take a quick look. Yeah, no, okay. So it looks like you have to get it from the BetaFPV website today, but I'm sure it'll be up on these other sites soon enough. And look, the 702 29,000s are now here. Wow, they make a 703 16,500. That's actually super interesting. Huh. Huh. All right. What else is happening in the chat? Juju says the new Nazgul XL5 Eco is a bind and fly 5-inch on Banggood for $190. Is it worth getting and changing it to analog, or would it be worth upgrading to walk snail, or should I do it when analog breaks? My personal opinion on bind and flies is you should not plan to get it and then start changing stuff. Like, sort of the only reason to get a bind and fly is to leave it alone and just bind it and fly it. If you're going to start changing stuff on it, you might as well just build something from scratch. Where that goes out the window a little bit is when some of these bind and flies are cheaper than the sum of their parts. And so if there's a bind and fly where all of the parts on it are good, that's the challenge. Good frame, and not only good, but what you want, right? Good frame that you want, good motors that you want, good flight controller, ESC, receiver, VTX, camera, right? If all the pieces are good and you want all the individual pieces and it's cheaper, obviously buy it. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to get a bind and fly and then just tear it apart and start desoldering stuff and putting different shit on, just custom build, because then you can pick the exact frame that you want, the exact motors that you want, the exact, right? And like, you know, bind and flies are tough in that respect anyway, because you don't really, like, you're just going to crash it and blow it up and have to tear it apart anyway. So yeah, bind and flies are kind of tough if you're going to fly hard. But yeah, I would not buy one and then just start ripping it apart. But yeah, I don't know. I would, if $190 is unbelievably cheap. So getting it and railing it around on Amazon, great, on analog for a while, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you wait, I mean, do they not make a walk snail one? Do they not make a Nazgul XL5 Walk snail? I'm assuming they use eco to designate that it's cheaper and let's go XL5. And it's on analog. I'm taking a look here. Wait a second. Isn't there some weird thing right now where there are no bind and flies on Walk Snail? I mean, what sucks is you buy it with analog and the camera and the VTX. Like, if you plan on upgrading it to Walk Snail, you just end up with this analog camera and VTX that, like, what the hell are you going to do with them? So, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Personally, I would just fly it and smash the shit out of it. And then but see, here's the thing. You're probably not going to break the VTX. You could break the camera. You center punch something right down the middle, and you could certainly break the camera. So, yeah. That's a tough one. I don't think you can go wrong, to be honest. $190 for an analog 5-inch rig is a ridiculous deal. So, I would maybe snag it if you're in the market for something like that. Striker says, thinking of making my channel like a nerd channel like you and Rossesser. Gee, thanks. There aren't enough of you. The only really nerd channels you know are you and Rosser. Oh, there's more than you'd think. But yeah, that's cool. Ram Dago says, Tony Hawk can't even flip his board. You're all right. What? How can he not flip his board? I'm missing something. Striker says, what are the most durable 65mm tiny whoop parts? The parts that I use, basically. Durability is high on the list of requirements. So all the stuff that I use is very durable. Dave S. says, where'd you get that nice parts holder mat on your desk? Amazon. Let's see if I put it on my... Yeah, I bet you if we just search for gray silicone work mat magnetic. I bet you that'll find it. There it is. Yep, that's the one. Well, yeah, they have different colors, but I don't like these ones that have the shit down the sides of them. It looks like they've got two different sizes. But yeah, this is the one. Just put the link in the chat. But yeah, if you search for gray silicone work mat magnetic, there's a whole bunch of them, all different sizes and whatnot. I was able to find this one. It's like perfectly sized for this little spot on my desk. I really like the silicone mats now. I've used every different type of material for work mat. The self-healing cutting pads. I've even used like a fabric mat from BetaFPV. The silicone mat I really love because it doesn't get screwed up when you accidentally inevitably touch it with the tip of the soldering iron. When solder balls fall on it, they don't have any effect on it. Because silicone is like heat proof, right? But the thing I really like about it is that the silicone has like a grip to it. Like if I put my hand down and like kind of pull, you know, like you can kind of see that it's grippy. And that grippiness is really nice. Finger got all fucked up. CiottiFPV Landscaping Services was working for another hour plus today, throwing tons and tons and tons and tons more rocks across the backyard because, you know, that's life sometimes. I can't put the link in chat. It's too long. But I told you what to search for in Amazon. And yeah, my hands are just getting mangled from doing it. Yeah, the grip of the silicone when you got like a board on there and you're just trying to do a quick job and you're pushing on it, it holds the thing that you're working on in place. With the other mats, they slide around and shit, and it just gets like really frustrating when you're trying to do that like super quick repair, or like if you're having to like balance something weird because you're trying to get the soldering iron in through the frame and you know. So there's that. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever go back to any other kind of work pad. These silicone ones are the jam. Striker says, but the XL5 Eco is 430 grams dry. That's pretty light. I mean, yeah, 430 and then like another 160. That'd be 590. Oh, that's not that light, I guess. 590 without a GoPro. 160 gram battery would put it at 590. That's actually not light. But, yeah. So I wouldn't get it unless you're going to frame swap, Striker says. Is the frame not good? Striker also says, only thing I would switch on the Nazgul is the frame for weight. Has a great stack. 1.6 watt VTX, Unibel 2207. 1800 kV motors that are $15 each. Perseed says, Baby Ape or Tiny Whoop? Apples or oranges? Those are two completely different things. So yeah, I mean, do you prefer apples or do you prefer oranges? It's just you can't compare the two of them. They're yeah, just totally different. Tiny Whoops are flying inside the house. 3-inch rigs are for flying outside the house. The end. Striker says to build an okay 5-inch freestyle quad with split bell worse motors. They're not always worse. There's a terrible misconception that unibell motors are more durable, and that they're better, and they're not. They're not necessarily more durable, and they're not necessarily better. 800 milliwatt VTX is like $230, crazy expensive. Yeah, but I mean, when you're building something yourself, you get to pick each individual component, and you get to buy the best of each individual component that's out there, and that's why it's worth the extra money. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, are you trying to have something good, or are you trying to have something cheap? You got to pick one, right? Good, cheap, fast. Pick two. It's always like that. Good, but not in this case. In this case, it's just good, cheap, pick one. J Monk says, what up? Happy Friday. Striker says, real nerd in a positive sense. Striker also says, what do you think of the Era 5? I don't even know what that is. I don't know the bind and flies. Joshua is your guy for bind and fly info. Notice says, did I miss the link? Nah, it's just too long. Do that search that I gave you in Amazon. Striker says the frame's fine. It's just more Rotor Riot tank-esque or like Volador. It's heavy, but it probably won't break ever. Gotcha. Mikhail says, do you run throttle expo on 5-inch rigs? How much? Just a tiny little bit. I run, I think, like a value of 10, which is basically nothing. But so here's how it works, right? The more throttle expo you run, so that from the nope, it's like this for you guys. From the zero throttle expo is like this, perfectly linear, right up and down. The more throttle expo you add, the more violent the S curve becomes. And so the more throttle expo, the narrower of a range that you're going to improve your throttle resolution. So on the RC drift car chasing rigs, I run tons of throttle expo, 40 or 50, because I only fly them at like a tiny little bit of the throttle. Like it depends on which rig. They all have different KV motors, but yeah, like I'm slammed on the ground and I'm chasing these little RC drift cars that go pretty much the same speed all the time, right? Like drifting, they don't vary their speed very much at all. It's completely different than real motorsports. And so I can take advantage of that. And since they're only speeding up and slowing down a little bit, I can run tons of throttle expo because I'm only ever going to have to alter my throttle by like 5 or 10%. And so that's how I can run that much expo without negative consequences. A 5-inch rig, you fly that thing fast, you fly it slow, and because of that, you're varying your cruising throttle quite a bit. You're going to use a lot more throttle when you're going fast across the big open space. You're going to use a much lower throttle value when you're trying to do tight technical stuff in a parking garage or a bando, something like that. And so because of that, you would never want to run a really extreme throttle amount of throttle expo on a 5-inch rig. And in the live stream where I really dug into throttle expo and really explained it top to bottom, we talked in depth about this. It's the amount of throttle expo you run has not nearly as much to do with the build that you're putting it on. It has to do with you as a pilot and how you're about to fly. Usually you'll if you're lucky, and if you can have a bunch of different builds, you can have one build for each different specific type of flying that you're going to do. Some people don't. Some people just have 1 or 2 builds, and then they can make changes to them to adapt them to different situations. And with throttle expo, if you're going to do that, you need to be thinking in that sort of way. So like if you're going to go to a big ass spot that also has like a bando at it or something like that, and you want to be able to both cruise around the big ass area and fly really technical in the bando, you don't want any throttle expo, or maybe just like 10 like I do. If you're going to be flying in a spot where your cruising speed is going to be more normalized, right? Less variation in your cruising speed, then you can afford to run more throttle expo. So yeah, personally, my 5-inch rigs, I fly like super dynamic. Now that I think about it though, on the rigs that I specifically built to fly fast, I could actually add more throttle expo to those because I only ever fly them quickly. They've got 40-degree up tilt, so you can't fly them technically and slowly. So yeah, it's kind of rig and or site and or pilot specific. God damn it. Oh, this is going to suck not having water for the rest of the stream. Oh well. I shall survive. Striker says, I mean, you can say don't bind and fly, build it if you're not one of those. Oh, God. If bind and flies are cheaper for better stuff, I'm getting a bind and fly. Yeah, true. It's just, it tends to be hard to find bind and flies where every single component is the best that there is out there. But you never know. Juju says, is the BetaFPV Air65 better than the Mobula 6 ELRS? There's really no such thing as better. There's just different. Unless a product is just straight up bad, which it is not. The prototypes weren't, and this is the production version, and so it should be even better than the prototype. So it's not a bad product. And when you're comparing two products that are both not bad, then yeah, there's no better. There's just different. Also, can 75mm whoops like your walk snail rig fly indoors and outdoors? They can. They're just much more difficult to fly indoors because of how much heavier they are. The extra weight causes them to slide around a lot more, and when you're inside, you don't have room to slide around, right? Like when you're flying inside the house, you're trying to fly down a pathway between your couch and your coffee table that's this big. If that rig slides a little bit more, it's going to hit one or the other, and it's going to be a pain in the ass to fly. These ultra lightweight 65mm rigs are so much more fun and so much more realistic to fly inside the house with some actual, like actually flying them, right? Like you can fly anything in the house. I fly 5-inch rigs inside the house, but it's a nightmare, and you're going to kill someone or break all your shit. And so the lighter you get, the easier it is to fly in the house, and the more fun you're going to have. Like a 75mm rig in the house, you're not going to be able to do anything. Like, yes, you're going to be able to fly in the house, but you're not going to be having fun. You're not going to be doing tricks. You're just going to be trying to not bounce off shit. And, like, why? Like, that's not fun. You know, you're going to do that for a few days, and then you're going to put it on the shelf, and it's just going to sit there, right? Like, you got to build stuff that really works. Unless you're the best pilot in the world, which some people are, right? I am not. I'm a pretty decent pilot, but I'm not good enough that I can just take any rig and absolutely rip balls in any setting. I have to build a rig that works well for the scenario that I'm flying it in. And by doing that, you're also building a rig that kind of flatters you and makes you look like a better pilot than you are. Render says, didn't tag you. If I wanted to build a Cinewoop for like house shoots with 2004 motors, would 3 to 3.5 inch be okay? Any recommendations for a good frame? Render, if when you say house shots, if you're talking about like wanting to get into the real estate world and do like home fly-throughs, don't. It's FPV is not the right platform for home fly-throughs. A gimbal on a stick is, and I mean if you've got somebody that is gonna pay you and yeah, I don't know. There's people doing it, but it doesn't make sense, you know, like. And you get into these situations where like you have to fly into a bathroom and then just fucking turn around and fly out, and it's just. Home fly-throughs just don't really make any sense for FPV in my and most cinematic pilots' opinions. If you can make some money doing it, you know, by all means, I guess. But like, yeah, it's not the right tool. 2004 motors are, yeah, specifically going to be good on 3-inch props. You might be able to get them up into 3.5 inch, but you're not going to want a 3.5 inch rig for flying inside houses. Flying inside houses, you're going to want the smallest, lightest rig possible. I do it with my Cinesplores because I'm super comfortable with them and because they have really tall ducts. But it would make a lot of sense to go lighter than those. Naked GoPro, 2.5 inch rig, something like that. What you really want, though, is tall ducts. You want it to be as not aerodynamic as possible, if that makes sense. You want it to be a brick from an aerodynamic standpoint. That way it doesn't want to slide around. The less duct height that you have, the more it's going to want to slide all over the place, which is going to make flying inside the house that much more impossible. This is sort of the other problem with flying big GoPro carry rigs inside the house, is that it is incredibly difficult. So, like, in order to be able to do it with and have the footage look even remotely decent, hopefully you're a pilot that's at least 1,000, realistically 2,000 or 3,000 batteries in, because it is just so difficult. And like every single little bit of throttle that you accidentally add or remove is like so obvious. And like most people that post their home fly-throughs on Facebook, it just looks awful. Their elevation is bouncing all over the place. There's no flow to it. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do. So yeah, have I talked you out of it yet? If you're desperate to do it, as light as possible and the tallest ducts that you can possibly put on it. Those are the two big things. 3.5 inch is going to be way too big, way too heavy. There's no reason for it. 3 inch at biggest, if not 2.5 or even 2 inch, would be how to do it. But yeah, it's all of the cinematic FPV pilots who've been around for a while all agree that it just doesn't make any sense. And there's also, like, I can just sort of tell you from doing photography for many years, the real estate world sucks. The people are shitty. They're super stingy. And yeah, it gets old really, really, really fast. So yeah, I don't recommend it, but you do you, my friend. Striker says, been getting into racing on the sim while I wait fly quads again. Been a lot of fun doing multi-GP tracks. He also says, God, I wish I had the luxury of having 4 5-inch rigs. I'd have one 20, 25, 30, and one 52 for racing. That would be tough. Flying rigs with different up tilts, it's almost like changing your rate. So you would actually probably not want to do that. You want to unify your up tilt as much as possible. Sprout says, do you have a good field charging setup? I do not. What do you use as a power supply? Lipo, someone on Reddit said, Lipo 4 battery is good for the price. I don't. I've never had the time or patience to go to a spot and fly like 20, 30, 40 batteries like some people do that have the field charging setups. For me, I have between 6 and 10 batteries. I charge them here. I go out and fly them. And then a lot of times, you know, I'll have like I'll bring like 6 5-inch batteries. I'll bring like 6 3-inch batteries. And I mean, that's 12. That's a lot of flying. And I'm like shot by that point. I'm ready to go. So yeah, the field charging thing, you know, it's interesting. Like it's an interesting conversation. Buy more batteries or buy a field charging setup. I don't think that there's a right answer, but I went with the buy more batteries route. I don't know if that's better or worse. It is nice to have a bunch of these batteries just to show up, fly them, come home, whatever. I've never really tried the field charging setup of just loading out with like 4 batteries and then, yeah, you pull it off the rig, get it right on the charger. I would have to assume that buying more batteries is less hard on the battery, right? Like taking the battery off the quad and putting it right back onto the charger when it's hot, like that's not great for the battery. And then like if you only have 4 batteries and one of them shits the bed, now you only have 3 batteries, right? If you have 8 and one of them dies, who cares? So the more I kind of think about this right now, the more I think that buying more batteries is a better option. It's going to make the batteries last longer. You're going to just have more batteries, which is better. And like, you know, you're going to pay about the same amount as you would for a field charging setup, right? Like buying a big ass battery is going to cost what you would spend on 4 additional 6S 1050s or whatever it may be. So, yeah. One of the things that I have heard that I thought was pretty clever is when you have a battery that the internal resistance has gotten high and it's starting to like fly like shit and it's saggy, but it hasn't suffered a ton of physical damage, which is never, like, my batteries always suffer physical damage. That's almost always what kills my batteries. But if you're the kind of pilot that flies batteries to the point where the internal resistance is the reason that you retire them, if you save all those, you can charge them at home, hook them up to a balance board, and then feed that, like back feed that balance board into a little charger. That's kind of a cool setup. For me though, I crash often and hard, and the batteries get like super beat up. So when I'm retiring a battery, even if it's an internal resistance thing, it's so mangled that like I don't want to charge that thing anymore. I want it to be as far the hell away from me as possible. So yeah, but that's kind of free if you can keep hanging on to those batteries that are safe but have high internal resistances. Then you don't have to have that expense of that, you know, big ass battery. So I was doing it for a while, and then I was just like, no, I don't want these things in the house. Because, I don't know, it sketches me. Them having high IRs kind of sketches me out anyway. Half Fast says, flying 65mm outdoors, angle mode, stock PIDs, lose control, fly away for a few seconds after a hard hit. I don't know anything about angle mode, Half Fast. I apologize, man. I stopped flying angle mode like 7+ years ago. So, yeah, I don't even know if angle mode uses the PIDs. But yeah, I can't help you, brother. I have no clue what happens with angle mode. I don't know if it's using the PIDs. I don't know if it's not using the PIDs. I don't know what the accelerometer is doing. So yeah, my recommendation would be to ignore that problem and focus on learning to fly in acro. Because you're gonna end up flying acro anyway, so you might as well start right now. So that you can, rip the Band-Aid off as early as possible. Walter says, my house is still too full of shit behind the couch against television. Better to make grope and rent basketball court for an hour a week twice. Super Deluxe says, thoughts on FPV in war. I talked about it a couple streams ago. I see both sides of it. Joshua talked about it for a half an hour, and he was absolutely dead on. Ian from Mads Tech talked about it a bunch, and he was absolutely dead on too. And they are pretty much polar opposites on their stance. But they both have really good points. I lean more towards Ian Mads Tech stance of I don't want FPV anywhere near war, and I reject this whole I reject this culture of money over anything. It doesn't matter how big your bank account is when you die. What matters is the connections that you've made, the fun that you've had, the people's lives that you've impacted. And so, yeah, for me, I'm on Team Ian in a way. Not that I don't agree with a bunch of the stuff that Joshua says. He's not wrong with anything that he said. But I'm just not. Yeah, I don't know. The main problem here is that pretty much every single FPV manufacturer and reseller, whether they know it or not, have sold these things to people using them for evil. It feels really bad when a company just does it right in front of your face, and is, I guess they have to be. I was going to say, and is unapologetic about it, but they have to be unapologetic about it. Yeah, I don't know. It just feels really wrong for it to be tied up with Rotor Riot. But that's business. You wave enough money in front of somebody's face, and they'll do all kinds of shit that they didn't, they might not have done otherwise. It's super hard. It's super, super, super difficult. I just try my best to live my life in a way that I don't do things that kill people. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just a gangly guy on the internet. My opinion doesn't matter anyway. You all have your own opinions, and that's totally fine. But yeah, I don't know. I like I said, I lean more towards basically where I think I'm at is that I wish that more of the FPV community, of the FPV manufacturers and retailers would try to not do it. If they get an order for 20. See, I don't. As a manufacturer, if you get an order for 20 bind and flies, you're gonna fucking ship the order out, right? It's impossible. It's just completely impossible. But for a company to have, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't know. Can I get a channel? Says yeah, fully. I don't know what that's in reference to. Striker says I have muscle memory for all 4. That's tough. That's gonna. Here's my problem with that, is that you're gonna be 25% as good of a pilot by doing that. If your muscle memory is going to be 25% as good. So something that I've been preaching for years and years and years is that you not do that. You work to have one single muscle memory, and that way you can actually get good. One of the things that I see with folks that are struggling to get good is that when the first 10-15 minutes of our one-on-one calls, I have a whole bunch of different questions that I ask them, and one of the questions is, what do you fly? Like what are you flying? And they'll and when I have people that are 2-3 years in the hobby that are really struggling to get good, a lot of times they're like, oh well, I got a 65mm tiny whoop, I got a 75mm tiny whoop, I got a 2.5-inch rig, a 2-inch rig, 2-inch Cinewhoop, 3-inch rig, 3-inch freestyle rig, 3-inch Cinewhoop, 4-inch rig, 5-inch rig. Okay, cool. Which one of those? Which ones do you actually fly? Oh, I fly them all. I bring them all with me every time. There's your problem. And so, yeah, if you actually want to get good, one of the best ways to do that is to try to unify stuff, and you're just making your life a lot easier, basically. So yeah, that's tough. Takes like one battery adjustment period, but each of them I use for different applications. 20 degree for tight part. I can't do that. That ain't me. I have no ability to adjust that fast. That's pretty cool that you can adjust that fast. That's pretty rad. Juju says, is there any issues you've had with the Mobula 6 2024? The direct soldered one, the motor wires break off, but that has nothing to do with this rig. That's just direct soldered motors. That's what happens. And then the only other issue is there's a little bit of jello in the mid throttle that, yeah, it's not bad, but it's there every so often. And a couple of us have been trying to figure it out, and we haven't really been able to get there yet. Other than that, it's absolutely fantastic, and it really, I don't know if you guys have ever actually seen it through the live stream because the quality kind of comes down. I think only I can see it in the goggles. Mick Bucas says, blew two ESCs on 2 Crazy Bee boards in one day. Is it possible that the plugs quit working instead? Worth it to try to pull them off in direct solder, or is it busted? I mean, yeah, direct solder for sure. The plugs on these things are usually pretty good, but these are all JST plugs, and they all have service lives of like 10, like 10 plug in and unplugs. So yeah, these plugs are not great. They're usually totally fine, but I mean, you're gonna throw them in the dumpster anyway, so you might as well, might as well just direct solder real quick and see what's what. Ramdonko says, is the 2024 Hobby 65 have a new board? Is it diamond shaped? It is not. No, the 2024 is a regular square shaped board. It is kind of tucked in the corners though, a little bit. Walter says, it's about karma. I don't kill. There you go. Just Mo says, what's up, dude? Happy Friday, man. I got a few questions, so buckle up. LOL. Cole Powers says, I missed the discussion about the Air65. How is durability? Cole, I always front load the super chats. Sorry, not the super chats. The chat itself. So we haven't even had a chance to take a look at it yet. YouTube just did the thing. Scrolling back up to try to find my place. Walter says, it's business. Yes, other business than hobby. Yeah, I mean, just because it's your guys' hobby, though, doesn't mean it's not all of ours business, right? Like FPV is my business. It's no longer a hobby. Race Day Quads, Get FPV, Newbie Drone. FPV is not their hobby. It is their business. So for them to take blood money, they can just say, well, it's just business. What the fuck? Shut up! Jesus. Oh, my God. All right. Max L says, what about Happy Model RS0802 bells paired with SC0802 25,000 kV stators? You mentioned before, 75mm 25 gram rig. Stock RS0802 handles dives like shit. The RS0802, yeah. What's the question, Max? Previously I'd talked about that combo being potentially like really, really good. I haven't had a chance to do it yet, but yeah, that should be really good. It'll be the 802 25,000 kV motors are really good, especially on a 75mm rig. I don't know if that's like some kind of a magic stator quite yet, though. We need Butterfly to check out, and I'm going to be sending him some more motors so that he can do this. Check out some of the higher kV 0802s, the 27,000s, the 30,000s, and the 33,000s to see what the thickness of the windings are on those. But what I can say is that the the 0802 25,000 kV motors are great. So that stator is going to give you a really good amount of power. I personally, at the moment, prefer the 27,000 kVs, but and I think I remember feeling a difference between the 25s and the 27s, but man, that was a long time ago that I did that testing. So yeah, I don't know. But 20,000 versus 25,000 kV is going to be a gigantic difference, right? That's 25% more RPM. So it's gonna really bring that thing alive. The easy button is to get the iGao 0802 27,000s. Then you don't have to screw around. You're going to pay half as much because you buy one motor that has the shaft that you want and the kV that you want, and they're purple. So yeah, if these iGao motors are in stock, I would maybe just grab them. I'm not totally sold on the SE 0802 25,000s being some kind of like magical motor quite yet. I'm also holding off spending $80 on buying both of those sets of motors. It's a lot cheaper and easier to just figure out a way to get Butterfly FPV a set of these 27,000s so that he can tear them apart and micrometer the windings, because for all we know, the copper windings in these are the same thickness as those 25,000s or even thicker potentially. So yeah. Can I get a channel says I was in agreement with you. That's all at whatever timestamp that was at. Got it. Super Deluxe says I feel you, man. It's just impossible, right? Like it's just and you know, like it's been impossible like this for the last year and a half, right? Since the first time that I found out that in Ukraine they were strapping things to the, you know, rigs that we love, it was just like, wow, that's good for them, but almost certainly bad for us. And then like as more manufacturers kind of leaned into it, it was like, well, yeah, I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. And now for Rotor Riot to do it, this is not a new thing, right? Like this has been going on for a long time. Like the on one hand, it's like, why is everybody so pissed off? But on the other hand, it's like, well, yeah, I totally get why everybody's pissed off. The whole thing is just a big shit sandwich. So yeah, I don't know. Kevin Sumner says, I think the thing that changed my feelings on the unusual machine situation is that they're now specifically marketing strike capabilities. Yeah, I care less about non-lethal uses like recon. Yeah, I agree, but everybody, I mean, even though they're the ones that have those words, we all knew what everybody else was doing, right? Like we've seen all of the videos. So like, I don't know, that didn't, I can understand why that made so many people so uncomfortable, but for me, I was like, yeah, right, that's been going on for a while. So yeah, I don't know, I hate it. I absolutely hate it, but there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. Money talks. The end. Striker says, can't seem to pick one. Use each for different types of freestyle. 22 and a half might be what I stick to, maybe 25. Also keep this in mind, Striker. Your GoPro up tilt doesn't have anything to do with your flying. And there's really not a good way of perfectly setting the up tilt on your FPV camera. So like you mentioned 22 and a half degrees, you're never going to be able to set your FPV camera at 22 and a half degrees. You'll be lucky if you can get 25 versus 20 versus 30. So yeah, it's not like don't overthink it. The GoPro mount up tilt has no effect on your flying. It only affects what your footage looks like. What affects your flying is the actual FPV cam up tilt, and that's really difficult to set perfectly. So, you know, you just set it somewhere near where the GoPro is, and then you just go and fly. Just most. Hang on. Just Mo says, just installed and wired up 40,000 kV motors to a BetaFPV Cross AO. The front two motors don't spin. Tried Betaflight, and most movement was a slight twitch. Can an old AIO be the issue? Just Mo, what frame are you using? Make sure that the C-clips on the bottom of the motors aren't rubbing on the inside of the frame. If you're using the Light AF, the Newbie Drone Light AF frame, or the Cockroach 65 V3, sometimes on the Light AF frame, you always, in my experience so far, have to drill the holes out because the C-clips rub on the Happy Model motors. On Newbie Drone motors, it's not a problem. On the Cockroach 65 V3 frame, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you have to drill the center hole out so that the C-clip doesn't rub. That's what it sounds like the problem might be, if I had to guess. Cold Power says, warning, core breach imminent. What's that from? Striker says, the whole muscle memory thing is why I want a 5-inch rig. In a perfect world, I'd fly tiny whoop and 5-inch rig, same angle, same rate, same everything. You wouldn't want a tiny whoop to be at 30 degrees up tilt, but yeah, you get them and you let rip. Tiny whoop was also a different flying style, but yeah. Super Deluxe says, it is impossible, and the world is chaos. I'll be addressing all this on my stream in 1 hour. Very cool. Love that. Just Mo says, when I got into FPV/drones, I was looking for content creators on Twitter. No content, just DVR from war, and I was pissed for a week. That's interesting. That's all there is on Twitter. Huh. I haven't been on Twitter in forever. Walter says, 2 kinds of business like boats, etc. Drones in FPV says, the problem wasn't Rotor Riot. The problem was Redcat making a commercial out of it. Yeah, on the previous stream that I really dug into this, I brought that up and I was like, look, it's it's so weird to say this, but I still do think this. They should have hit it better. This is so weird, but I just wish that they'd hit it better. Everyone else is hiding it. But for whatever reason, maybe because they can't hide it because they're Rotor Riot, but it almost feels like they were happy about it and they were like, oh, fuck it all, or right? It was like they were celebrating it in this weird way. Maybe they weren't. Maybe they were. I don't know. But I wish that they had hit it better. Which is just the strangest thing. But I do. I feel like they could have done something else to just slide it under the radar and just be like, and then if somebody asks about it, it's like, well, yeah, we do this just like all the other guys do. Nobody really talks about it, but we're trying to stay in business here. So yeah. And the whole we're trying to stay in business here, that shit makes me want to absolutely punch a baby. Rotor Riot has been around for a long time, and last I heard, Rotor Riot wasn't about to go under or anything like that. They certainly seem like they're doing totally fine. They're changing warehouses, they're expanding, they've got a shitload of employees, they're putting on Rampage every year. This whole narrative of oh well, it's the whole mentality in America of grow or die, right? Your business is either growing or it's dying. Well, no, or it's just being a fucking business and not screwing everyone over. This growth or die is an easy excuse to fuck everyone else over. It's it doesn't have to be like that. There are plenty of businesses that don't do evil shit, that aren't growing, and they aren't dying. And maybe if they're dying, they will then bounce back, right? Businesses do this. It's look, this is what happens when... I worked for a company called Disc Makers way back when, in my early 20s. They're the biggest independent CD and DVD manufacturer in the entire country, right? Family-owned business for 62 years. The business was awesome. They weren't... I guess they were growing a little bit. Everything was cool. It was absolutely amazing. Best job I've ever had. Completely ruined every single other job I've ever had. Everybody was happy. It was so great. The owner got really fucking old. His kids didn't want to take the business over. He sold the business. Now they're stockholders. Can you fucking guess what happened? Within 1 year, the whole shit changed. And it was immediately in grow or die. And the whole culture changed. Everything went to hell. And it just completely... And we actually drove by where disc makers used to be on our National Lampoon's Tri-State tour. And it's not even there anymore. And that's, you know... It just sucks, man. It's just this like grow or die shit. It's just an excuse. It's just an excuse to be greedy. And I don't fucking buy it. And it really sucks. It really, really, really sucks. But hey, this is America. Max L says, thanks for a detailed answer. You're certainly welcome. Notice says, I agree. That's the biggest difference. All the other companies separate it much better. Monkey D. Cluffy's in the house. What's up, homie? He says, ahem. What's up, brother? Good to have you in here. Oh, and I'm caught up. All right, cool. Am I caught up? Yep, I'm caught up on chat. Awesome. I hate to do this, guys, but if I don't get a drink, my mouth is going to dry up, and it's going to be like a Jim Carrey routine up in here. Hold on. Where's the memory card from yesterday? Is this it? Nope. Hold on. Where's the flight footage for? Oh, I didn't even pull it off the memory card yet. All right, hold on. Here, watch. Here's another battery from this gig I flew last night. I'll be right back. Hold on. Open, you jerk. Is this? Yeah, whatever. Be right back. Much better. All right. Don't fly out over the street. It's bad. Don't do it. Don't fly over the street. Gusto FPV's wife is angry that I said punch a baby. I keyed. Ramdago says, I've been playing Celeste. Dare you to try it. No. Last thing I need is more video games. BetaFPV, thank you very much for sending me over the Air65 prototypes and now the final version. We are going to dive on in, talk all about it, get it set up, fly it around. Simple little cardboard box, don't need anything more than that. Nice custom cut foam, as always. Comes with an extra set of Gemfan 1219S's, which is great. And they're in this custom color. It's like a milky white color, which is really cool. Comes with a set on the quad as well. Comes with an extra G-string canopy. You guys know that I don't love these G-string canopies. That's just a personal preference kind of thing. They are nice and lightweight. I will give that to them. Comes with this little guy as well. Don't lose this. The AIO does not have a USB plug on it. I think because they're heavy. I think this is one of the ways that they've saved weight. They just put a little JST plug on there, and then this is JST to USB-C. So do not lose this. What is very cool is that BetaFPV have a couple of AIOs that come with these. So at some point, maybe you buy... So like my 2S 75mm walk snail rig, it came with one of these. So now I have 2 of them. So now when I inevitably lose one, I'm not assed out. So in the future, I have a feeling that more people might switch to JSTs instead of USBs. And eventually you'll have a couple of these, hopefully, because inevitably you will lose one. Also, like, you know, you would want to have one of these in your gear bag, right? So hopefully they sell these individually. I'm sure that they will. It comes with a couple extra screws here as well. These look like motor screws, but they also do use a screw in the bottom of the camera mount here. So I would think that that they use the same screw. That would make a lot of sense. And it comes with a little card that I tucked in the bottom there with the QR code that you can scan to get to the instruction manual. Nice and simple, nothing crazy. I'm gonna hang on to this. Extra screws can stay in here. Box can go. Here is the Whoop drone, as they call it. I always love that BetaFPV has continued to call them Whoop drones. It weighs, on my scale, which is pretty well calibrated, 17.05 grams, which is right on the money with what they have on their website. My fully upgraded Meteor 65 2024, this has a different camera, different canopy, modified antenna, and I swapped the frame out, is 16.34 grams. What I can tell you, down the road, we are going to upgrade this guy to see how light we can get it. I do want to get rid of the G-string style canopy. I will swap the camera out, and I'll probably use this camera on one of my RC drift car chasing rigs. I don't know if I will swap this frame out, because this is the Meteor 65 Air frame, which is already pretty lightweight. So yeah, that might be it might just get a different camera and canopy, although I might run into problems with where the UFL is. We'll do that on a future stream, though. We'll do an upgrade stream at some point. I would not be surprised if once I swapped out the camera and the canopy here and lightened up the antenna, if I could get this down to pretty much the exact same weight as what this is. So yeah, Mobula 2024 versus Air 65 in terms of all up weight, they're going to be very similar once you start modifying them, I think. We're going to see why in a little bit as we kind of dive into this thing. So yeah, there's that. Comes with a 180 degree BT 2.0, which is amazing. Comes with the GemFan 1219s. One of the pieces of feedback that I did give them about the prototype is that the propellers, it's coming with the propellers not pushed all the way down on the motor shafts. And you guys know that that's a huge pet peeve of mine. That is a really good way of bending your motor shafts, which is a problem that we have on these little tiny motors with these little tiny 1.5mm motor shafts. So if you already get this rig, as soon as you get it, as gently as you put, the best way to do it is just to take your finger and put it dead center on the hub of the prop and just push it down. Your thumb's going to go on the bottom and you're just going to push it down. The prop shaft is going to push up into your index finger and you're going to go, ouch. If you don't want to go, ouch, I guess you could take it like this with your fingernails. But see, the problem with doing this is you risk bending the motor shaft or a propeller. So realistically, just take it like this and just take one for the team. It doesn't hurt that bad, and it goes away in a minute. But yeah, now the propellers are pushed all the way down to the motor shafts. That's going to make the motor shafts last a bunch longer. With the prototypes, one of the issues that I did have that I was sure that they wouldn't be able to fix, but I did let them know about, is the location of the UFL. It is right there, and it is right next to the frame. And what I was having happen in crashes is that it was unplugging the UFL. I even glued the see that? See how it kind of comes over, and then it just pops the UFL up and off. So you're going to want to put some E6000. I tried putting E6000 on the left side here, and it still popped it off. So realistically, what I think you want to do is put a big blob of UFL all the way from the board over top of the UFL and then onto the plastic. That's going to keep your antenna from coming unplugged, which, you know, if you're flying far away, you could lose the rig. So that is a real thing that you want to do. E6000 is great because it peels right off. It's also called Welder on Amazon, but apparently that's been discontinued. But yeah, E6000 or Welder, or even hot glue, just to secure that UFL down. I wanted to tell you that really early on. A couple of more things about the rig itself. As you can see, the AIO is diamond, Happy Model diamond style, where there is no front on the AIO other than the little camera plug there. They've done that to save weight, obviously, and then they've got the motors direct soldered on. Not my favorite, but again, lightweight. There's the JST that you plug that little adapter in to get to the USB. By doing it with the JST plug, it also allows them to slam the stack down nice and low. If that was a USB-C plug, you wouldn't be able to put a battery in here. You know what I mean? The other big thing is that by cutting off the front of the board, you now don't have enough board space to put your ELRS receiver on there. So what they've done is put the VTX on the board, and then they're running an external receiver. I would kind of rather have it the other way around, I think. I think I would rather have ELRS on board, because ELRS doesn't really, like, die. VTXs die, you know what I mean? So I would rather have the VTX be the external piece so that when it dies, not if it dies, you can replace it. When you do that, you got to run more wires, so maybe that's why they... Wait, no, you don't. What am I saying? Yeah, no, I don't know. This is a choice that they made. I've put, 100 batteries through the two prototypes, and they held up totally fine. In theory, the reliability will be completely okay, but we don't know until we've run them for 6 months, so we will see as time goes on. But yeah, this is what it looks like. They've got a little screw on the bottom of the canopy there to hold the camera lens in, which is kind of slick to prevent the camera from rotating in there. Curious as to how durable that will be. I won't find out. I will take this setup off pretty quickly and replace it with a Mobula 6 canopy and camera. This is one of the things that I really don't like about these G-string canopies. See that terrible angle that this front screw is on, and then look at the rear screw. It's on an angle too. This G-string canopy, every single time you crash, is trying to break those posts on the frame. New frames are inexpensive, but it's a pain in the ass to swap these frames out, right? So, yeah, I don't like this style of canopy, but everybody is going to them because they are probably very cheap to manufacture, and they are very light. It's not my favorite, but hey, is what it is. You got like an extra half a gram in this ground plane here that you can remove to bring this thing down to like 16.6, 16.5 grams, which is kind of cool. I think that's about everything that I want to kind of talk about with the rig itself. Let's put it into, well, let's bind it first. We'll bind it, and then we'll put it into Betaflight. I'm going to assume that it's on ELRS 3.0, which is what I have on this Naminmo module. Let's take a look. All right. We're going to come in here and go to bind mode. All right. And I'm going to assume that I can plug this in 3 times to put it into binding mode. Let's find out. Once, twice, 3 times. Sending bind request. Oh, wait. It's an external ELRS receiver. Well, it just went. Yep, it bound. Yep, we're good. Cool. There you go. Plug it in 3 times to get it into bind mode. It's going to go solid blue. It's a separate ELRS module up here on top. It looks like it might have a button on it, so maybe you can also put it into bind mode with the button, but why? Just plug it in 3 times. So we are bound. Now we are going to plug into Betaflight. So we take this little guy here, And we struggle to see where the pins are. Is that correct? There it is. All right, so that guy's plugged in. And then let me just unplug this GoPro. Plug this in here. Okay, don't fall off the desk, please. Stop. Okay, whatever. Here we go. Betaflight. Come on, Betaflight, you can do it. Ramdonko says, Caddx didn't make a powered gimbal that does yaw and pitch. Is that carp? I'm not sure how to respond to that. Caddx didn't make a powered gimbal. Are you asking if it's crap that they didn't make one? Maybe. Oh my god, there's black box data on here. That's funny. There's somebody was black boxing this thing. That's hysterical. Okay, so let's just go top to bottom. First and foremost, I mean, it's a bind and fly, so it will be set up correctly, but let's put it flat on the table here, and then we're going to calibrate the accelerometer. We're going to accelerate the calibrometer. All right, good to go. Again, it is a bind and fly, but just for the sake of checking, nose down, nose up, left. Well, here, spin it like this. Right, left, yaw to the right, yaw to the left. So the board orientation is correct, which I would expect it to be on all bind and flies, but hey, stranger things have happened. UART 3, it looks like, is where they have the receiver on, and then they're sending smart audio within the unit on UART 4. Looks like they use TBS Smart Audio. Smart Audio. Craft name is Air65R for race. We're going to change that to me. PID loop frequency comes out of the box at 4K. Accelerometer is turned on. Great. Air mode is permanently on. That's fine. OSD is on. Maximum arming angle is set to 180, which turns it off. I like that. D-shot beacon is turned on. Good there. Yeah, awesome. Well, I guess bind and flies come with this stuff set. The individual components, a lot of times you have to change this arming angle. A lot of times you have to turn on the D-shot beacon configuration. This is nice that that's all turned on. But I guess that's a bind and fly thing. I don't get many, if any, bind and flies. The battery, what? That's crazy. I've never seen a negative in here before. That's kind of wild. Whatever it takes, though. I'm sure it's set. I would hope it's set correctly. Minimum cell voltage and warning cell voltage are kind of high, but I'm going to leave them where they are. 3.3 and 3.45. I usually set them a little bit lower than that, but we'll see. We'll see how often we get flashing warning messages. For the battery capacity, we'll set it to 300. Doesn't really do anything other than help the OSD, but whatever. Failsafe, I always move mine to 3 full seconds. It's a tiny whoop. Who's it going to hurt? Connect. I don't recommend you do that, for the record. Presets we don't need to worry about. PID tuning, let's take a look. So we are on the sliders, which is great. This is a pretty tame PID tune. They're using they've got a bunch of master multiplier in here, though. So it looks fairly tame because you've only got 1.1, 1.1. They've got the feed forward zeroed all the way out, which is super weird. I mean, I like low feed forward, but I at least run a little bit of it. I'm going to leave it zeroed out. They've got the DMAX turned all the way down. I actually really like the way DMAX works, so I'll probably end up moving this up quite a bit. I'll probably end up adding some feed forward as well. Drift wobble iGain down at 0.8. That's pretty standard stuff. Pitch damping for D-gain is up at 1.2. I like that, and then the pitch tracking is 1.1. I really love that they're using these two sliders, and then you see the master multiplier is up at 1.25. At some point, I will pull this master multiplier down. I will push the damping up. I will push the tracking up. I'll push the stick response up, and I'll push the DMAX up. But we're going to fly it as it is out of the box for right now. Jitter reduction is very low here at 5. This is just what I use for stick smoothing. I prefer using jitter reduction than super low feed forward. Screw it. I'll turn it back down. We'll fly it as is. I-turn relaxes at 15. There's really no reason for it to be at 15 for freestyle, so I am going to move that down to 10. That's pretty subtle. Everything else looks pretty standard. They're not using dynamic idle. I wonder if it doesn't work like on their old boards. Okay. I only made that one super subtle change, which is I-turn relax. That won't affect anything. Oh, I think we have our... yeah, we have AETR set wrong, so that's fine. Let me just put my rates on here. Oops. All right. Good. And I am going to give it just a little bit of throttle expo. I'm actually going to give it 0.2. I'm going to take a guess that the midpoint is 0.35, and we will adjust that in flight. I'm doing that just to give this a chance. I run a bunch of throttle expo on all my rigs. If I don't run any on this, I'll have a hard time managing elevation, and it just won't be a fair comparison. Filters are stone stock. They've done nothing to the filtering. Interesting. RPM filtering is turned on though, so that's great. This max frequency being down at 500, I do not like that at all. I'm going to move that all the way up to 800. That's going to add a little bit of filtering. It's not actually going to really... Oh, they've got the minimum frequency on the dynamic notch at 120. That's a little bit low. I'm going to leave it, but that's interesting. Yeah, there's absolutely nothing going on with the filtering. That is almost completely stock. Receiver tab here. Yeah, it's on AETR. So let's get it to TAER. There we go. And then let's fix the stick low and stick high thresholds. And we're going to add a little bit of deadband. This is all stuff that I personally do. You don't have to do any of this stuff, my friends. It's very subtle, the difference that it makes. Unless you understand what it is, don't change it. ARM is on aux 1, and it's in the right spot. Angle mode I do not use. Horizon mode I do use for if I lose video. And so we're going to set it like that. Beeper is going to be aux 3 all the way off on the right. These are just my personal mode settings that I'm used to. Black box is going to be aux 2 all the way down in terms of switch position. Flip over after crash. I want that to be in the middle. Okay. What else? Launch control just for funsies. Aux 2 in the middle. Okay. Modes are set up the way I like them. Adjustments. I am going to do my super secret OSD setup here. So, OSD profile selection, aux 2. All right. I've done a video on that if you're interested. Looks like this is on D-Shot 300. That's great. Totally to be expected. Motor poles 12. Good. Motor idle 5.5. We're not using the dynamic idle, which is, I'd rather use it, but it's okay. I'm going to grab my OSD profile off of another rig, so we're just going to leave that alone. Although, Jesus, they have a lot of OSD elements in here. My God, they got like everything on screen. That would be super distracting for me. Okay, here in the VTX table, it comes set to race band 8. That's nice of them to do that for me. Low power disarm is off though. I'm going to turn that on until first arm. This way, when you've plugged the battery in, it doesn't sit there and just cook the VTX on you. It leaves it at pit mode until you flip arm for the first time. Then it powers up the VTX to full power. So there we go with that. Black box is set to gyro scaled. There is some black box data in here, which is interesting, but we're going to leave that alone. The other thing I'm going to grab off of this other rig is going to be my crash prevention settings. So we are now all set up here, but like I said, I need to grab a couple of things from the CLI of another rig just to save me some time and have my OSD look the same and all that good stuff. So if you've got a rig that's set up exactly the way you want it, here's something that's kind of cool. Please work. Hold on. I think I clicked too fast and Betaflight got a little upset. June Logo says, can you rip it before tuning it? Yep, we are gonna. I have not changed the tune at all. Ramdongo says, I missed something. Why is feed forward at 0? I don't know. That's just the way they did it. All right, here we go. So if you go into the CLI and you type diff, D-I-F-F, stands for different, it's going to show you everything that's different from the default setup of the board. In my case, I want to grab the crash recovery stuff. So if I look in here, there's a whole bunch of items that say set crash recovery. Bang, 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 bang. And so I'm going to grab this chunk of text here, and I'm going to copy it into my computer's little clipboard. I need to store this somewhere, though, so hold on. I need a quick text document. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Why is it so hard to just... I just want to... where do I type things? We don't type things anymore. What do I do? I got it. I got it. All right, we're good. All right, I got a sticky. So there's crash recovery. And then if we come back in here and we come up, there's a whole bunch that say set OSD. And this is all of the changes that you've made to the OSD. This will not turn anything off. It will just turn stuff on and move stuff around. And that will make more sense in a second. So there we go. I've got a little sticky note here with these items, and I can grab all of them here, copy them back into the clipboard, disconnect this quad that had all the good settings, connect this other one, the new one, and come into the CLI here and just paste them. And what you want to look for is red text. If they're on different versions of Betaflight, there can sometimes between like Betaflight version 4.4 and 4.5, for example, they'll change the name of something in the CLI. And so when you dump that in there, sometimes you'll get a red text that says, hey, I don't understand what this is. That means they changed the name of it. We're good, though. We don't have any red text, so everything went in there fine. So now we're going to hit save, and that saves all those things. Now, reconnect. Now look at the OSD. Ready? Oh, shit. It did turn stuff off. No, it didn't. Look. See how the crosshair is still here? It doesn't turn stuff off. It just moves stuff around that's already there. And then see this? I never run this, but this was here, and it didn't get turned off. So I need to go in here and turn off the raw battery voltage, the crosshairs, and I think there was like VTX channel that was on as well. Nah, we're good. We're good. Okay. So now the OSD is as I'm used to it. And that's it. We are all set up here. Disconnect. Pull the JST out of it. Grab this little guy, and we are ready to fly. What's this battery here? Kevin Sumner says, use Spotlight to find text edit. Yeah, I was looking for text edit. I couldn't think of the name now. Oh, God. It's funny to have lived through like the beginning of the computer age, and now it's like late stage computer age where like I couldn't figure out where to type something. You know? Like, I don't know, man. We'll be all right. We're all going to be okay. I'm going to use 300 mAh lava batteries here. So let's put it up in the air and see what's what. Okay. Battery routing is Interesting. Hold on. Battery cable routing. I would personally change the battery cable routing, but I would have to pull the AIO to do that. So obviously that ain't happening right now. But when I start upgrading this thing, I will change where the battery wire kind of runs. It's not a big thing, but just a thing. All right, so flat spot towards me. There we go. That's how it wants to plug in, right? Nah, I'm gonna plug it in the other way. Yeah, I'm gonna plug it in like that. That'll tuck it away a little bit. Hey, look at that. So this is the BetaFPV CO3 camera, I believe. There's a bunch of racers that like the BetaFPV cameras. I don't really have much of an opinion, if I'm honest. They seem okay. Nothing wrong with them. Let's give it a rip. Hey. All right. Fat Shark HD3s are up. Let's see how this guy is. And yeah, ELRS 3.0. I guess we talked about that a little bit ago. So I did just notice that the battery was at 4.15. So this might be a little bit lower of a runtime. This could be one of the older batteries, or maybe I just flew it a little bit already. All right, so as you can see, it flies great. Like, I admittedly, right, I've been flying the prototypes of these, but I actually haven't flown those prototypes in like a week or two. And one of the things that I did notice about the prototypes is that they fly just like all the other stuff that I've got, which is a really, really, really good thing. Like that is high praise. If, I spend a lot of time customizing and perfecting my personal setups. If you can make a bind and fly that even remotely mimics that and just flies normal to me, that is a really, really difficult thing to do. And it is like the highest possible praise, right? Because I spend a lot of time and effort on that. One of the things that I am noticing is that the camera is really working its little ass off to correct the white balance. Every time I face this direction, it's trying to white balance for the blue light, and then when I come back here to the daylight balance light, it's then correcting the auto white balance again, and then so like ready, watch, right? So it's gonna correct the white balance for this, and now look at the color of the lights. I'm gonna turn to the right, and then notice what color those lights are, and as I fly across the room, you're gonna see the lights change color. They're red and purple. The LED bulbs on the right side of the room are red or purple. Watch this. See how it's pink? And now watch, I fly over here, and it goes like much blue. You see it really change there when I got close to that. So the auto white balance is adjusting like very, very quickly and almost like overactive. So it gave me a land now warning, and so I landed. Total arm time is 2 minutes and 19 seconds, which is very short. Let's take a look at what the battery has bounced back to, though, because their warnings were set significantly higher. Okay, so the battery has bounced all the way back up to 377. It'll probably keep going up to 3.8. So we landed a little early. They've got those warnings set a little bit high. I'm actually going to fix that because that is potentially going to make the efficiency of this thing seem like it's way worse than it actually is. And I don't necessarily want that. But all that being said, in flying the prototypes and now this one, they have not changed the motors. Something that I've definitely noticed is that these BetaFPV motors, and this is kind of common knowledge, are significantly less efficient than Happy Model motors. This was the one big piece of feedback that I gave them. Basically, like, look, Happy Model has figured something out. Buy a bunch of their motors and tear them apart. Like, figure out what they're doing, because they are just demolishing everyone in terms of efficiency and power production. This makes about the right amount of power that I would expect from 29 or 28 or 27,000 kV, whatever they are. But as we just saw, the efficiency is nowhere near what we get. Like, we get over 3 minutes on Happy Model motored rigs that are 32,000 kV, 36,000 kV, 40,000 kV. So yeah, this is not a super efficient rig in comparison. But I mean, you could swap the motors out, right? There's nothing to stop you from swapping the motors out. If you do swap the motors out, you're also going to want to swap the frame out. I can't believe I forgot to talk about that. But hold on, let me change the minimum cell voltages real quick here. So 3.3, we're going to bring this down to 3.2. 3.45, we're going to bring this down to 3.3. All right, that is going to help quite a bit. All right, so I totally forgot to talk about this, and it's super important. So let's pause from flying for a minute here. Something that I've learned very recently is that a bunch of... Okay, well, so the Meteor 65 frame, the original Meteor 65 frame, the Weebleed FPV Crown frame, and this Meteor 65 Air frame, they have all put the duct, the vertical part of the duct, very high in comparison with the in comparison to the Newbie Drone Cockroach Light AF and the Cockroach 65 V3. And the Happy Model motors are a shorter motor. So if you're going to run Happy Model motors, you should pair them with the Newbie Drone Cockroach V3 and Light AF frames. If you're going to run BetaFPV motors, you're going to want to pair them with the Meteor 65, the Crown, or the Meteor 65 Air frames, so that the propeller rides around the inside of the duct properly. The Happy Model motors in this frame, they sit too low. The propeller sits too low. So if you did want more efficiency from this and you switch over to Happy Model motors, I would recommend getting rid of this frame and go over to the Light AF frame or this Cockroach 65 V3 frame, so that the props run, see it here? Run around the inside of the duct. If the prop is too low, it's going to hit these supports all the time, and it chews up the propeller. Every single time you bump into something, it stalls the motor and you crash. It's no good. That's something that we've realized pretty recently, and luckily there are a couple different frames that have them at different heights. You can get little spacers. They might even, when you buy the Meteor 65 Air frame, they give you this little pouch of spacers so that you can run the Happy Model motors in this frame and have the propeller ride properly around. But these little spacers are heavy, and there's nothing magical about this frame. The Light AF frame is, I think it's lighter than this, and it's been plenty durable. So don't do that. Don't use these silly spacers. Frames are only a couple of dollars. Get one of every frame, and then you've got a million different setups, right? Like, spend $20 whole, you can get one of every single frame. That matters, my friends. Pay attention to that. So that was a 300 mAh battery, and look, it has now bounced all the way back up to 3.81. So that's I'm actually fine with that. That's where I want this battery to be. But for most people are going to run the battery down a little bit lower, and like 2 minutes and 10 seconds is a little bit short. So let's now that we've adjusted those voltage settings, let's run another 300 before we get into the... All right, so here is a fully charged 300 mAh, very new. I think this has only been cycled like maybe 3 or 4 times. 300 mAh folded cell BT 2.0 battery. These are the BetaFPV Lava batteries. They're all the same. Any of the folded cell BT 2.0 batteries, they all perform exactly the same. I do like that these Lava batteries like the Weebleed FPV batteries, they have a sticker that wraps all the way around, so the sticker doesn't peel off like all the other ones. So I am a fan of these lava batteries for sure. All right, so let's see what kind of runtime we get on this guy. All right, here we go. And we're going to go upstairs with it. All right, there's another example of the white balance really working hard, right? So we're down here. The white balance is adjusted to daylight, basically, and then it adjusts to this weird red and purple, and then watch the hallway. See how green it is, and then it goes clear. I don't know if the white balance is adjusting more slowly than I'm used to, or if it's adjusting more aggressively than I'm used to with the Runcam Nano 3 cameras, but, you know, just a thing I noticed. Really decent power for the weight. Again, this is the high KV race one. Flies really good. PID tune is locked. It's a little bit more aggressive than stock. I mean, the biggest thing, you could see crash recovery helped me out there, but I still managed to bang it into the ground. Tried to get just nuts with it. Yeah, the tune, you know, in Betaflight, the tune is turned up a little bit, but nothing crazy. This is a lightweight rig with high KV motors, and that's really what's doing the most of the work with the tune. And these props are really good. These Gemfan 1219S propellers are awesome. Video is looking really decent up here. I don't know what the VTX is set on. Let's take a quick look. VTX is at 25 milliwatts. Good. That's what I set everything to. So VTX is kicking butt. On one of the previous ones, on one of the prototypes, the VTX was not great, and that was another piece of feedback that I gave them, and they did specifically say that they'd figured that out before I even gave them that feedback. So yeah, really happy to see that the VTX seems to work well. No idea if this VTX will work good enough for racers, but they'll let you know. This is a very lightweight AIO, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are some racers that move over to this. And then they'll be able to hopefully let us know if the VTX is accurate enough for, like, you know, 4 or 5 pilots up in the air at once. Wow, all of a sudden I can't fly. Oh, you fucking scumbag. Oh, well, that's weird. That's it losing telemetry. Come on. Jeez. All right. How do you tell people you're old without telling people that you're old? There you go. Anybody remember that? All right, let's keep going. Oh God, nope. Yeah, all of a sudden I can't fly worth a damn. Oh, exhibit F. Let me set the throttle expo properly. 39, 40, 38, 37, 40, 39, 40, 39. All right. Throttle expo needs to get reset here. I think I have it a little bit too low. We're going to go into rates, go to the bottom, throttle mid, set it at 40. All right, cool. I have very little throttle expo turned on, though, much less than normal. There we go. Now we're getting a low battery warning, but look, we're almost at 3 minutes. Oh boy. Hey, there it is. There we go. Whoa, that was a close one. Flying in through the low battery warning. I don't usually do that, but there you go. 3 minutes and 14 seconds. So they're all right. Let me see where this battery bounces back up to. Let's give it a second to recover, and we'll see where it bounces back up to. That's the most runtime that I've gotten. I did not get that much runtime from the prototype, so they might have changed something. And yeah, so the battery's bouncing up to 366. That's pretty good. That's not bad. The prototypes, I was a little weirded out because I was seeing like I wasn't getting to 3 minutes. I did arm and disarm and I was like in the menu and shit, which wouldn't have helped the runtime. I was doing a bunch of full throttle stuff. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. For comparison's sake, though, this guy is on similar KV motors, but they're the magical Happy Model motors. And this gets like 4 minutes. And I've seen like 4 minutes and 10, 4 minutes and 20. But here's the thing. If a rig gets more than 3 minutes of runtime, I'm completely happy. Maybe there's something about these motors that's better, and that makes them a little bit less efficient. Whatever. More than 3 minutes, thumbs up for me. I don't need 4. I don't need 5 minutes. These batteries are cheap. They're easy to swap in and out. So yeah, I'm totally okay with the runtime on this guy. What else? Crash is okay. The prototypes held up completely fine. I smashed them pretty good. This UFL has not come unplugged. I've only well, you know what? Let me fly this. Okay, hey, let's go over to the 260 batteries, and I'm gonna really hammer on this thing. Plug it in like that. Flat spot away. Yeah, let's. It is 8:58, my friends. Go get some Super Deluxe or Bot Grinder. I don't know if Bot's streaming tonight, but let's fly this thing really hard. I want to see if I can get this UFL to unplug so you guys know that I'm not crazy. All right, and we'll also get some crash data on it. I haven't been able to break the prototypes, but you know, between prototype and release, if they change some stuff, it can affect things. So let's just fly stupidly aggressive. The 260 is great. I really like these 260 MAH batteries on these really lightweight rigs. Let me put some music on, actually. I'll put a little copyright-free jam on. This way I can actually focus and fly hard without talking. New Diz 4. Nope, that's terrible. Alright, this might not be terrible. If it's terrible, I'll turn it off. Here we go. Yeah. Ah! Come on, that was crash recovery actually freaking out. I don't know what that was. Oh, we're getting crash data. Whoa, boy! Woo! Hey! Quick swap. Minute and... Jesus. I'm pushing it really hard. Minute and 53 with a 260. We're gonna speed run a few batteries. Come on. Get in there. Here we go. Woo! No. Oh, God. It can fall down the stairs well. Oh, God. where it is. Woo! Oh god! That was crash recovery there for the record. Oh, I have it. I just had that one song set to play. Oh shit! Man, it flies good with these lighter weight batteries. Good lord. Oh! That hit the ground hard. Oh, that was a hard hit. Hey. Ah! Hey. I didn't mean to go through that. That was kind of fun, though. Minute and 47. Yeah, I mean, this is, like, I'm flying this unreasonably hard. This is ridiculous. But still. Let's do one more. Let me go to a 300 mAh battery and fly it really hard like that. Hockey Rounds with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much, brother. All right, speed running batteries. And then, all right, so this is the last battery we're going to fly, and then we're going to talk about the upgrade path, and then we will shut this mother down. Here we go, 300 mAh battery. Let me go back upstairs. Upstairs is where I can really hammer the shit out of this thing. Woo! Oh, God. Ah, the couch ate me. Don't eat me. It's pretty dark upstairs, too, and this camera is handling the light really well. Oh! I'm basically flying this, like, old-school brush tiny whoops, like full throttle or no throttle. That was a hard hit, and it hit on a corner. Oh, okay. I don't... Oh. Uh-oh. Oh, God. Can we get it out? No. Oh, God. Well, this is an unexpected but unbelievable torture test. Apparently they conform... Oh, nope, no, they didn't. I was going to say, apparently they conformal coded it. Oh, shit. I probably shouldn't have armed it in there, huh? I thought maybe I could just get it out real quick, though. All right, I'm going to plug it back in. This is... Look, this is what you don't do. When you get a rig wet, you don't plug it back in. You unplug it right away, and then you put it in front of a fan. But for science. Shit. Oh, shit. All right, well, we're going to leave it in front of a fan for 24 hours, and maybe it'll come back to life. It wasn't salt water, so we might be okay. Damn, I can't believe it wanted... I didn't understand what was going on at first, and then I was like, wait, that's water. And then I thought maybe the water was low enough, and but no. It's soaked. So, yeah, I'm going to put the fan on. Well, although first, hold on. There was one or two really big crashes, and it looks totally fine. UFL's still plugged in. On Sunday's live stream at 3 o'clock Eastern time, you'll get to see if this lived. I hope it did. It flies really good. Putting it on the fan right now. Alright, so now we're going to fly the, really quickly, we're going to fly the Happy Model fully built light AF framed jib job. I'm going to run it on the same battery that I was just running that on to bring it down. Oh, man. It was all going so well. How does the, like, how do we always hit the dog's bowl? How is, or the cat's bowl? How is that possible? There we go. I was going to say, whew. Here we go. Ready? Teddy, are you ready? Watch the reaction. We're going to arm it. Oh! Oh! He just couldn't take it. Hey! Let's blow that teddy fluff around. Oh! Back up, little boy. So, let's get back upstairs. I can feel the difference in weight. A little bit more breakup, actually. Roughly the same power. Maybe actually a little bit less power, come to think of it. These are the happy model. Oh, well, you know, no, actually, I got used to the 260 mAh battery. This feels the same on this heavier battery. Oh, God. Crash recovery. Thank you. This is on a much shittier antenna. That's why the video signal is worse. This antenna has had the ground plane removed for lighter weight. When I say put it on a fan, I really just mean put it on a fan. Just run a fan like this for 24 hours. Brings most of them back to life. This rig flies great. So does that BetaFPV rig. This is, you know, fully upgraded. Yes, it's a little bit lighter. What we would see with this rig is better runtime. But in terms of like flight characteristics, very similar. Let me see if I can put this thing into the jello. There's a specific throttle value where it gets a little bit of jello. See it there? It's higher. It's up in the higher throttle. Yeah, it's hard to get it. It's not super distracting. I don't know. I don't love it, but it's just kind of whatever. Yeah, no, I can't sit the throttle high enough to. That's like my one complaint about the Mobula 6 2024. So look, we just got 2 minutes and 30 seconds on a battery that was half run. So yeah, there is a little bit of an efficiency difference, but the BetaFPV Air65, I've been really impressed with it over the last I guess couple of months or so. And I don't impress easily. I hate everything. So yeah, it's a rig that I'm pretty impressed by. So upgrade path. Last thing that I want to talk about on that guy, even though it's sitting on the fan over there, VTX is on the AIO. So at this point, we're gonna want to start weighing receivers, and we want to try to find what the lightest weight ELRS receiver is. It might be the one that's on there. It's got a big old wrap of shrink wrap. You could take that off. That'll save you some weight. Pull the antenna out. Take the ground plane off that. That'll save you a bunch of weight as well. For me, personally, I'm going to take that camera and canopy completely off of it, and I'm going to replace it with a Runtime Nano 3 and the Mobula 6 old school canopy. This is going to probably save me about 0.4 of a gram, but the big thing it's going to do is add durability, and I like this camera better. This is the Runtime Nano 3 is my favorite camera. So yeah, that's going to be sort of the upgrade path that I take on mine. The AIO is that like kind of diamond shape, which is interesting. I'm super curious what that thing is going to weigh. This guy is 16.4. I have a feeling that I might be able to get that a little bit lighter, which is one of the big reasons I hope that it didn't just blow up from bathing in the dog bowl. So yeah, the propellers that it comes with are the ones that I would recommend, the GemFan 1219S, so leave those propellers on there. If you're going to run those motors, the taller BetaFPV motors, that's the right frame, so you don't need to change the frame. The AIO seems good. It comes with BT 2.0, 180 degree. That's awesome. That's about it. If I would actually, my preferred antenna setup is now the ORT Micro V. So yeah, swap that over. That's an easy swap. And that's it. That's pretty much everything that you can upgrade on it. The motors are direct soldered, so that's a pain, but that's life. That's low weight life. Yeah. I would be interested to see that rig in a light AF frame. I think that the guards might be a little bit too low, but you might be able to save another 0.1, 0.2 of a gram. Hold on, let's see. Let's see what the light AF... Well, the light AF frame uses the short screws that are lighter. Yeah, I'll have to do it. At some point, I'll take that and move it into a light AF frame, and we'll see if we can get it. I would love to see if we could get that thing down below 16 grams. So that's basically going to be my goal with that thing. Can we get down below 16, and what happens when we get there? So I don't know if we'll be able to do it, but that is the gear setup with the Mobula 6 old school canopy, the Runtime Nano 3, that we'd potentially be able to do that. So stay tuned from that. Maybe we'll do that this coming Whoop Wednesday. I don't think we're going to do that on Sunday. So yeah, there you go. BetaFPV, thank you so much for getting me involved in the prototyping procedure. That was super fun. And thanks for sending me over the final version. Hopefully I didn't just destroy it by bathing it in the dog bowl. But yeah. Let me get caught up on chat, and then we will shut this mother down. Hockey Rounds with a $2 super chat. Thank you again, friend. Crom says, could you quickly explain crash recovery? I can ask again Sunday if it's too late. Just rewind back to where I showed you those diffs and just type those into your CLI. Those are really good settings, and they'll work really well for you. McMucus says, bravo, tear it up. Bravo, CiottiFPV, tear it up. Here's the other thing you can do, Crom. Google search GitHub Betaflight, and then once you're in the Betaflight GitHub, where the hell is it? Once you're in here, use the little search up here and search for crash recovery. And they have a... Nope, we don't want issues. We don't want discussions. Ah, shit. Where is the Betaflight? Nope. Here it is. Is it? Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Betaflight.com. And then... Where the hell's the search in here? Is it Wiki? Yeah. Wiki. And then there it is. Top right. Search. And search for crash recovery. And there it is. This tells you everything you need to know about crash recovery. This is a really good read. It really helps to understand crash recovery. You can just copy and paste my settings and they'll probably work pretty well, or you can take 15 minutes to actually read through this and understand it. My settings are dialed in for my rates, how hard I crash, and how quickly I want the thing to recover. You might you probably have different rates, you probably crash different, and you might not want it to recover as quickly as I do. So yeah, read through this. Crash recovery is awesome. And yeah, away you shall go. McMucus says, doesn't the 65 Pro run 35mm props? It does indeed. If you swap out frames, do you have to get new props too? Yes. If you have a 65 Pro, then and you frame swap it, every other frame uses 31mm props. So yep, you'll have to get different props. Limits20 says, why don't you use HDZero goggles anymore? They're uncomfortable. I use them when it makes sense to use them, like when I'm at the RC Drift Car place and I want the de-interlaced DVR. But when I'm flying without DVR here for the live stream, my HD3s are 1,000 times, not 1,000 times more comfortable, but they're significantly more comfortable. And so I use these guys. Notice says, bought Mobula 6 used. They've been wiped, reset. Painful 1S. Set up with no base settings. Set VTX MSP on USB VCP and ports. Notice, post that in my Discord, and a discussion needs to happen there. That's going to take some time to get that figured out. There's a lot going on there. McBuka says, get you some more of those. Great session. Thank you, brother. Curtis Hayes says, no ground plane antennas. Try my hack and general nonsense. Solder a tiny 14mm wire to the shield. Make a lightweight dipole again. I'm just buying. I have, actually, I think they're in the mailbox now. I have a whole bunch of the ORT micro Vs coming. So that's my solution. Chris Hayes says, my length suggestion was for VTX. The Hills Wave FPV says, if you didn't care about camera weight, what camera would you prefer over the Nano 3? Maybe the new FXT camera on the Mobula 6 2024. But I mean, to be honest, all of these analog cameras suck in some way or another. So yeah, the Runcam Nano 3 being lighter weight, like that right there, is way more beneficial than like the slight differences in all of these other cameras. So yeah, and it is a totally fine camera. It's not like a bad camera that's lightweight. It's like a good camera that's also the lightest weight. So yeah, but the main thing is just with analog, it just looks like ass no matter what. So like why spend much time and effort trying to, you know, have a camera that looks 1% like less ass. Can I get a channel says, this channel is sick AF. You're welcome. Thank you, brother. Hills Have FPV says, if I design a 45mm whoop that can mount one of your existing AIOs vertically, will you print and fly it? Probably not. Printable frames do not work. I've wasted hundreds of hours on 3D printed frames. It's yeah, there's no way to do it that anybody's been able to do. And yeah, I'm about a year backed up on flying other people's stuff and builds and whatnot. So yeah, sorry, brother. Metadirt's going with a $5 super chat. He says, just made it. What did I miss? Did you blow it up yet? Yep, maybe. Hopefully not, but maybe. Can I get a channel says, I'm going to go check out Super Deluxe's live. Yeah, everybody go check out Super Deluxe in a minute. Ramdago says, nobody mentioned the beard. What beard's that? Striker says, thanks for the stream. My plan is to get the Meteor 65 Pro. Don't do that. We lead 32,000s or any other 702 30,000. Definitely don't do that on the Meteor 65 Pro. That'll be bad. Switch either to 1219s or the 12. Yeah. Striker, you're all over the place. But yeah, don't get the Meteor 65 Pro. Martin Tanley says, move the quad to the new firmware and have the older firmware CLI saved. Can I just copy that CLI to the new firmware that's working in ELRS 3.0? Sorry, I'm new. Nope. Don't do that. There are too many chances that you'll mess stuff up. Set it up from scratch. There's not that many things, and there's a million people on YouTube that take you through. Myself, I've done it 100 times. that take you through all the different fields. Yeah, don't use CLI diffs or dumps. It is a good way to either brick or just make a ton more work for yourself. The safest way to do it is just to open each tab in Betaflight and take a screenshot. Tab, screenshot, bang, 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 bang. And then on the new one or on the new version of the firmware, just go through and just set them up. Boop, 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 boop. It'll take you 10 minutes. And once you've learned it, it's like not a big deal anymore. Striker with the last thing of the live stream. I already have, okay, Meteor 65 Flow converted to the, okay, all right, that makes more sense now. Thanks, friends. Go check out Super Deluxe and or Bot Grinder. Tell them Ciotti sent you. Love you. Bye! BetaFPV Meteor 65 Air. Thumbs up from me. Just don't crash it into your dog's water bowl. It'll probably survive. I did leave it plugged in for a little bit too long, and I did arm it in the dog bowl. That was dumb. Love you, bye! I'm not ready at all, ever. Here's Tiny Whooping in Elegy at the cool little rental house. I was flying like shit this day. Nah, I'm not going to make you suffer through this. I did have one battery that was half decent. Maybe it was this battery. This is the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop 36,000 kV. Love you, bye! Love you, bye!